Well, folks, an exhausting night, I'm not going to lie, for everybody fighting up in Carson City and remotely against this horrid bill that would have almost certainly, here in the state of Nevada, led to an income tax. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the program. Good news, it didn't pass. It didn't pass, and so we won. And I have to just put out a quick word here and thank each and every one of you for the phone calls, for the emails, for everything that you did to stop this disaster from happening. Absolutely phenomenal. Email me, Sam at what'srightshow.com, or find me on X, as many of you have. Particularly over the last 48 hours at What's Right Sam. And I am doing a lot of updates, by the way, on everything going on with the legislature and the latest developments, because, of course, the drama is not over. And just as the bill failed, they called the Senate back into the chamber. And this is exactly why you've got to watch these Democrats. You got to keep an eye on them at all times, because they passed just before adjourning a Senate resolution. And I think this is some insight into what this special session was always about for the Democrats involved. The Democrats passed a joint resolution, both, by the way, in the Senate and the Assembly. And here's what it does. It resolves to add to the Nevada Constitution requirements to have mail-in ballots, universal mail-in ballots. Every person automatically gets a ballot. And number two, mandates drop boxes. Man, that's right. You have to have drop boxes or places to put the ballots. So this is clearly an intended effort to enshrine in the Nevada state constitution a means for the Democrats to cheat in the election. Now, procedurally, let me explain to you what happens with this. So the reason they did it this way, the reason that they chose this path too in the 11th hour and 59th minute of the special session to issue this joint resolution is because when they do this, it requires only a simple majority. So the Democrats can easily do this on their own. It cannot be vetoed by the governor. It means basically that's it. Democrats in the Assembly, Democrats in the Senate, they vote on it, it's done. They have to now, and there's specific constitutional language about it, now they have to vote on it in the next session that can't be any closer than 30 days from now. So it could be in a regularly scheduled session. This is how I read the Constitution, at least. Could be in a regularly scheduled session, or 31 days from now, they could call another special session and vote for this again. And if it passes again, then this automatically goes to the people as a ballot initiative. Now, those of you in Nevada who've been here a while, hey, if you want to add something to the Nevada Constitution and you do it via ballot initiative, it has to go to the people twice. It has to be voted on twice, passed twice in a row. And this is certainly the case with Prop 7, which is the voter ID bill. We'll talk more about that in a minute or two. But obviously the Senate Democrats, the Assembly Democrats would never want voter ID. So we the people had to go and get Prop 7 done, and we're going to have to pass it again and again, right? It's just, I got to do it twice in a row. But this procedure in the legislature takes away the need of having to do this twice. It matters because and I have this on good authority, the Democrats nationally are going to pour millions of dollars into this race. I've had people tell me that it will be the most expensive statewide race that's not a Senate race. I venture to say I believe that the fight to put mail-in ballots and drop boxes in the Nevada Constitution when it becomes a ballot initiative, I'm convinced, folks, that it absolutely, and I mean absolutely, will be maybe the most expensive a race in Nevada history. Just state race, right? Because the Democrats want this badly. I always wonder, which party is it that that wants? Which is the party that is fighting for mail-in ballots? Which party is fighting to not have a voter ID? Which party wants unguarded drop boxes where anyone can drop a bundle of votes in the middle of the night? That's probably the party that intends to steal elections. So anyway, this becomes, I'm telling you, this is going to be a top thing we have to fight. And we have to fight and organize against this early. We're going to have to fundraise for this. We are going to be going up against the national, not the state, the national Democrat machine. Well, let me tell you a couple of other funny things. I guess they're funny. I don't know. They're actually depressing if you think about it. Number one, where does it? I have a piece here. It was in the. Where was this? It was in the Nevada Current, I think. They did a story on the Hollywood tax giveaway. And this piece overall sounded like the Nevada Current was for the bill passing. So it was lamenting a little bit the fact that it had not passed. Oh, and so here, let's see, I've got this in my page 4 of the article. And I quote, State Senator Edgar Flores, Democrat, Las Vegas, who voted via Zoom, said policy changes that he believed would have protected the interest of the entire state were rejected by some of the stakeholders, and that as a result, he had an obligation to the state to vote no. Now, I reported here on air yesterday, and I stand by the story, that it has been, widely alleged that Senator Flores, a Democrat from Las Vegas, was threatened by a union member, by a lobbyist at the Capitol, that he was told that his position made the person angry and that he would beat the living daylights out of Senator Flores if he didn't change his mind. The reason that Senator Flores in the article, and I love that the journalist here doesn't even bother to ask what the hell was Flores doing down in Las Vegas and not up in Carson City. And well, there's some reason for it. The guy was shaking somewhere in an undisclosed location. So that's a funny thing. But here's the real tragedy of it all. So I'm following the votes last night, and I have my spies and lawmakers too. Okay, people up in Carson City with whom I maintain good relations, and they are feeding me reliable and up-to-date information. So this is not stuff that I'm picking up on a Ouija board, folks. I got people. I have reliable people who are keeping me abreast of the situation. Anyway, I hear that Dina Neal, who is a Democrat from North Las Vegas, Dina Neal, a state senator, who absolutely has her entire career been against corporate welfare, been against handouts. Dina Neal puts out here, this is so great, decides to switch to a yes vote. It was a stunner. And it was the moment where I feared that the bill was going to pass. Those of you who were following me on X at What's Right Sam yesterday were kept up to speed on this moment to moment. At any rate, here is what the Nevada Current today is writing about this. I almost fell out of my chair because, of course, this is exactly what she said last night. Quote, State Senator Dina Neal, a vocal critic of public subsidies for corporations, who has voted against previous mega deals, cast a yes vote that surprised many. In a floor speech, the North Las Vegas Democrat said she would vote for the bill because, now why would she change her mind, right? Because, wait for it, Senate Majority Leader Nicole Cannizzaro, who Neil said saved her life when she had a medical episode earlier this year, that she owed her a favor. Here's a direct quote from the senator. "Dear Hollywood, I want to be absolutely clear that although this vote may benefit you, it is not for you. It's not even a consideration about you." A state senator, an elected official, was about, she did not, it was about to, voted yes to $1.8 billion given literally away by the Treasury because she owed her friend in the Senate a favor. And she says it on the floor, on the record. This stuff is mind-blowing. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone, this hour of the What's Right show brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam and Ash. We have a phone number here, a toll-free number, because this is for both offices in Nevada and California, 1-800-304-2000, 1-800-304-2000, because you deserve what's right.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here with a word about Sam and Ash Injury Law. This is something a lot of people don't realize. You get into an accident, you get hurt, somebody else is being stupid. Now you have to deal with it. And not just being injured, but you also have to deal with the mess that comes with the insurance company, police if they're involved, body shops, everything, all of it put together. It is hours upon hours of answering phone calls, checking voicemail, responding to text messages, email, etc. And then, even if you try to go do it, you may do some things wrong, and ultimately that can cost you lots of money. The number one call that I get at Sam and Ash when I talk to people who have waited to consult with a lawyer is they've suddenly gotten a big bill and they don't even know how to pay for it. They go, whatever the insurance company is giving me doesn't cover the full extent of my damages. I'm upside down $10,000, $20,000. What do I do? And the simple answer is turn it over to us. We've got a team of people here who literally today can take over what you're dealing with, start making the phone calls, returning the emails, writing all the right things down so that you are legally protected and you can go on to focus on your life, be with your kids, go to work, and not have this hanging over you. It's very simple. Sam and Ash Injury Law is your concierge practice that takes care of you in these difficult times that you're going through. And it's really easy. You just call 1-800-304-2000, 1-800-304-2000. Talk to a friendly person here at the office, Oscar, Ian, even me or Ash, and let's get this started. Let's get you on board. Let's have you get the paperwork done, and it's just off to the races. It's that easy. And you don't have to deal with another phone call from the insurance company again. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. All right, friends, reeling here from the whiplash of the special session the What's Right show, brought to you by Sam and Ash. We followed this, all of us, last night. I was on the phone with all of my people, all my contacts in Carson City and here in Las Vegas, and I can tell you that it was a real nail biter. One thing that did get passed yesterday, earlier in the day, was the crime bill. Now, I've got it here. I just want to pull this up because it's important. The Senate amended the crime bill, and actually put what I think is a bit of a poison pill into it. And that is, it bars law enforcement from schools without a warrant or court order. And this is specifically geared to prevent ICE officers from enforcing ICE immigration holds and arrests in schools. And the reason I call it a poison pill is because the governor can veto this, and he can do that. He's got, I think, 3 days to do that. But I've got in my hands here this memorandum of understanding between the DOJ and the Nevada governor. And this was signed, in September, about 2 months ago, by the chief of staff of the governor here in Nevada and by a counselor to the attorney general at the DOJ. And if you look at, there's a specific section here, and if you look at it, it says it's going to be a problem for the governor to just automatically sign this crime bill, because this memorandum specifically cites, back in June, Governor Lombardo vetoing AB 217. Now, what was AB 217? That was the first version of the crime bill. And here's what the memo said. This bill would have barred Nevada public schools, including charter schools, from allowing federal immigration officers onto school property or sharing student information for immigration enforcement without a court-issued warrant or order. Now, this whole MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, is a term sheet for Nevada not being designated a sanctuary state. Politically, and of course, just public safety-wise, we don't want to be designated a sanctuary state. If we're designated a sanctuary state, guess what Trump is going to do? He's going to double down on enforcement here and go even stronger against Nevada. Lombardo doesn't want to do that. So I don't know what he's going to do. I have no crystal ball, but I think he's between a rock and a hard spot because he wants elements of this bill. Certainly, there's been a big push to have this. There's a provision in this bill that can remove. Police will be able to quickly remove troublemakers from the Strip corridor. And as somebody who is pro-economy here in Las Vegas, of course, I'd like to see, to the extent that it's legal and workable, I would like to see a lot more enforcement and enforcement mechanisms in place to keep the Strip safe, because I want the visitors to Las Vegas to be taken care of. There's things in this bill that the governor wants, and then there's this component of the bill that he can't accept without backing out of the agreement with the Department of Justice. So it's a situation. Now, this brings me, of course, to Governor Lombardo himself, and certainly I've been a little bit frustrated over the last couple of days, and I put this out on Twitter, and I want to be clear. I mean it. I am so grateful that Lombardo won in 22, that Sisolak got voted out of office. And I can't even imagine where our state would be if Aaron Ford or any other Democrat thinking about running for governor here were to win next year. So I support, in spite of all of this, I support Governor Lombardo. And I know I think some of his advisors are not doing him particularly great service, but we are lucky to have him. And we really next year, this coming 12 months, There are some big political battles here to save the state of Nevada, and going to roll our sleeves up, and I think need to unite more than we fight internally. Can't spend our time on fighting internally. Okay, Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Don't California our Nevada. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the program. Well, yeah, that's the sentiment, right? I mean, if just imagine that this Hollywood bill that we defeated, just imagine what would have happened had it passed. It was a $1.8 billion giveaway. It's a staggering sum of money for our relatively small state. I understand California's got a $60 billion a year, whatever it is, a giant budget. But this would result in a significant operating deficit. And I'm going to explain. I think there's a fair number of you that were convinced, and I get it, but we're convinced by some that this bill to help build Hollywood studios at Howard Hughes Center in Summerlin, that it would be a good thing for the state economically. And here's how this works, right? These tax credits are sort of like coupons. And because they're fully transferable and because there's no prohibition on their transfer and or sale, what the casinos will do to finance the thing is they'll sell off a significant portion of them to make things work. And who just ask yourself, who wants a tax coupon for the state of Nevada? Okay, hint, it's not New Hampshire businesses looking to do business in Nevada. It's not California businesses like, oh, maybe I'll have a tax burden in Nevada when I move there in 2 years. No. The hot and ready market for tax coupons for Nevada are businesses that are already in Nevada, are businesses that are not just already in Nevada, but already have a tax bill coming due in Nevada. So for pennies on the dollar, and I keep saying imagine it's MGM, but somebody pointed out to me, Sam, it happened in the past with one of these tax credits. MGM bought them all up, 10 cents on the dollar, and then MGM skirted a giant tax bill. You can't fault MGM for it. I mean, it was a business opportunity, and they'd be stupid not to do it, to get a 60, 70, 90% reduction in their tax obligation. But all of a sudden, the state is missing real revenue. Where does that money come from? And if your answer is, well, we're just going to cut things, good luck doing that with a legislature that is right now 2/3 Democrat. You know what that 2/3 Democrat legislature is going to do? They're going to do, just like they did here last night with the joint resolution on ballot boxes, they're going to vote once by a majority vote. They're going to vote once to put a ballot initiative to change the Constitution and create an income tax, and they're going to vote again for the same. And then there will be one ballot initiative. There will be one vote to the people, and that vote is going to be sold as our state is in dire need. We're going to start firing teachers, and all we have to do is vote for this ballot initiative that will raise an income tax only on the top 3% earners. And everybody's going to vote for it because that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you. And like that, we have constitutionally opened the door to a state income tax in the state of Nevada. And it could all happen, as I predicted here on this program, by 2030. That is what we avoided. And how do I know we avoided it specifically? Because there are Democrats up in Carson City already talking about it. Have a little faith in me, folks. I'm telling you. I know these people like the back of my hand. Now, speaking of shifting gears just slightly, I saw some videos today from the funeral of former Vice President Dick Cheney, all the usual cast of characters. Robbie, this is no Trump, no JD Vance. Trump was specifically not invited. And I didn't see Clinton. That's true. I did not see Clinton, Bill, or Hillary. Bill may have taken a short jaunt over to the Epstein Island for old time's sake. I don't know if they were not invited. I can't imagine that they wouldn't be. I mean, Al Gore was there. Now I'm saying JD Vance specifically. JD Vance wasn't invited, and JD Vance, is the sitting vice president. It would be custom to invite the sitting vice president to the funeral of a former vice president. But no, this ended up being a giant get-together of all the worst and most odious people. George W. Bush. I guess there's some pictures of Biden taking Amtrak down to D.C. He rode the train, took pictures with people. He looks not good, folks, let me tell you. So the deep state had a little rendezvous, is my point. And they didn't have Trump show up. Well, this is just I'm shrugging my shoulders. I don't think Trump cares one bit. And now we at least know what all of these people think of us. Think about this, right? Many of you, me included, right? I'm included in this, voted for George W. Bush twice. We supported him through thick and thin. We still remember when they said about Bush the kind of stuff that they say now about Trump. Many of us put Bush stickers on our cars and got vandalized and spat at during the Iraq War. And now Bush doesn't have the, I don't know. Look, I mean, I understand that I get it. Trump is a critic of Bush's policies. So am I, in retrospect. I still think funerals is where you set up aside your politics, and you got a sitting president, you got a sitting vice president. It's kind of a cheap shot not to invite them. They invited Rachel Maddow to this. Fauci was there. Mark Milley. Anyway, they can all have it. All right. I'll tell you, this is an absolutely insane story. I've been following what's going down with this Florida Congresswoman. Her name is, I always struggle to pronounce this, Sheila Sherfulus McCormick. Sherfulus McCormick. It's a hyphen, okay? How to spell it? You don't even want to know. She is a 5-year, in her third term, Congresswoman from Florida. She and her brother Edwin apparently, allegedly used their family health care company to scam FEMA funds on over vaccinations and some kind of a contract, staffing contract in 2021. So charges have been filed against her and against her brother. And according to U.S. Attorney Jason A. Redding Quinones in the Southern District of Florida, she now faces up to 53 years in prison if convicted on federal charges. How much money are we talking about? Well, that's interesting. It's about $5 million at least of overpayment of federal emergency management funds. Prosecutors allege that Sherfulus McCormick stole the disaster funds, laundered the proceeds, and then even had the audacity to use this money in her 2021 congressional campaign. This is great. Well, I know. Well, they're rallying around her. The Democrats, as I'm telling you, it's a clown show. You can't dismiss it, though. You can't write it off completely. I'm okay. It's remember last week, California Governor Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff was arrested. And she stole, what was it, $225,000 allegedly from an inactive political campaign account that belonged to Congressman Becerra. I guess her name was McCluskey. McCluskey and exactly. This woman was Dana Williamson is the gal for Gavin Newsom, former chief of staff, and then there is a friend of hers who worked for Becerra, whose name is McCluskey, and they together they just raided this account allegedly $10,000 a month, and that's it. So, I mean, just one thing after another. Now, don't get too. I'm telling you, do not get too confident going into the midterms. We have a year to get our acts together. Nationally and here in Nevada, we have 1 year. And the clock is already ticking. It's already a year less than 2 weeks. So 50 weeks to put this all together. It's absolutely stunning. And it's not necessarily doing damage to the Democrats' brand yet. And there's a reason for this. By the way, CNN got into this a little bit. I always like to look at the polling from Harry Enton because, again, these are CNN polls. I understand it, not always the most accurate of polling, but it gives you some idea of what at least the official sort of left, center-left position on all of this is. And the center-left sort of polling common sense, if you will, on their side position is that things are looking overall quite good for the Democrats because they're going to be riding high on turnout. Now, I'm just telling you, the Democrats think they're going to get turnout. Of course, they're going to, mail in ballots and all that certainly helps the cause. So here's how Enton begins presenting the numbers. This is this morning on CNN.
Dems versus Republicans on the generic congressional ballot. If you look at all voters, this matches the average. You see Democrats up by 5 points. Okay, that's not a bad position, but it's not as strong as they were in the 2018 cycle at this point. But come over to this side of the screen. This is where it gets truly frightening for the GOP, because among those certain to vote, look at this. The Democratic advantage nearly doubles. We're talking about a 9-point advantage going from 5 to 9 points. And this matches with what we're seeing in other polls, which is huge Democratic enthusiasm, huge. And more than that, remember, elections are not just about persuasion. They're about turnout as well. And what this suggests is Democrats are far more likely to turn out at this point. A 9-point advantage going from 5 to 9. That is A+, 2 thumbs up. Great news for Democrats.
I don't know. We control the House of Representatives. I mean, the Republicans, the House of Representatives. We control the Senate. And we've got the presidency. And we're less than a year out from the midterms. And instead of talking about voter ID, which Congress could require for all federal elections, certainly for elections for Congress, we're talking about Epstein files. And it's not a comment about Epstein. It's not a comment about sex trafficking. It is purely, I want you to do this. Look at our side of the aisle. And every person who is not talking about voter ID, but is talking about Epstein, hint Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul, etc. Every person that's doing that is a carnival barker. They are not a serious member of Congress. They're an influencer. They had to stick to doing podcasts. I'm serious. This is just maddening to me. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, this hour of the program brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, the only law firm to trust for your personal injury case. 1-800-304-2000. Offices in Nevada and California, because you deserve what's right. Robbie, I think a pretty fun show, if we were going to do something just on a podcast, would be to have whatever I'm looking at on my Twitter feed, my X feed, just showing up on the screen, and then me reacting to it in real time. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. I am Nevada's favorite recovering Californian. Phone number, email is the best way to reach me, sam@what'srightshow.com, sam@what'srightshow.com, and at What's Right Sam on X. If you don't follow me there, you're missing out. A lot of important information I've been putting out over the last week, and it's all on X. So I'm going through just during the break, seeing if I had missed anything, and somebody reposted a video of a couple that I don't know if this is a TikTok that got reposted. Anyway, the video, and it's apparently a woman, appears to be a middle-aged woman, and her husband have both left their jobs to dedicate themselves fighting to a life fighting Trump. Let me reverse it. I was thinking about this. I realize I do more than the average person to stand up for what's right in our world, whether it's right here in Las Vegas, Nevada more broadly, or beyond that, the United States of America, a country that I love desperately. I realize I do 2 hours here on the radio. Of course, there's a fair amount of show prep, so it's probably about 4 hours on any given day all in. And then yesterday and the day before, if you've got a bill that potentially faces or creates a ruin for your state, for your home, you're going to do something. So I put a fair amount of time in, including late at night. But even during all of this, I would be talking to lawmakers up in Carson City or texting, calling, whatever it was. And I was laughing. I go, I got a day job. In fact, I was in the middle of negotiating a big case, which resolved yesterday. So it was a double victory for me because I had a client who had just came to us with a small offer. It was, I think, $1,800. And we got her $100,000. It's not certainly not a huge case by our standards, but it was an enormous success for this particular client and something we had been working on quite a bit, the whole team. So I'm doing that. I'm on the phone with legislators and with media people and just I thought, gosh, I cannot quit my day job, but this is a lot of work. But anyway, there's some libs out there that are doing it. What are your thoughts on that? Robbie's looking at me with a quizzical look. Don't get any ideas, Robbie. I don't want you quitting the job here, walking out of the studio to pursue a life of opposition, of rebellion. No, I just don't. I don't get it. I think the easiest explanation is that there are some really broken people out there. I also will tell you that people don't have purpose in their lives. I think about what gives me purpose in my life. Certainly, I have my job. I love my work, but I'm also a dad. I've got 3 kids. I've got a wife. On balance, a relatively happy home life. I'm a lucky guy. I always say on balance. I always try to downplay it because it can always change one minute to the next. But knock on wood, 20 years strong, and she still puts up with me. I've married well. I've got great parents. I have a wonderful sister. I get along with her and her family. I don't know. I have fulfillment. I'm very, very, very fortunate. I have this show. I have producer Robbie. I don't know. I have all of you. This is, I don't know. My cup is full. And I think there's people out there, and I think that's what drives people to the left too. They need these causes to get themselves to make themselves feel like they have some life relevance. And remember yesterday I played the clips of the 3.5 protesters that showed up at the UN, and they're still banging on about Palestine, even though we've got a ceasefire and a peace plan, and Trump basically ended the whole thing, and they're still upset. They can't let it go. This is like the global warming people that suddenly in the middle of a cooling trend are like, oh, but it's still real. It's still real, Sam. It's called climate change. You know, these people should go back to religion. Go back to God. You need something to believe in. You need something that gives you purpose. Go to church. All this liberal New Age stuff is just a replacement for religion. I'm telling you, this is what I think, and maybe you disagree. Okay. Oh, Jasmine Crockett. I got to get to her too next hour. God, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Robbie, don't make those faces at me. I was pronouncing it absolutely correctly. Sherfulus McCormick. I know it sounds like some sort of a nasty disease, but there it is. Congresswoman Sherfulus McCormick. Definitely in some hot water. As I mentioned last hour, Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the What's Right show, your place for common sense conservatism, Monday through Friday, right here on the What's Right Media Network. Now, Sherfulus McCormick, this is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first sitting congressperson or senator, lawmaker, federal lawmaker to be indicted by the Trump DOJ. So this is, I think, well, wait a minute. No, we have Bug Eyes. We've got Adam Schiff. Who else do we have indicted, Robbie? Okay. Yeah, I think... Well, this is one that is not related to mortgage. This is a whole separate thing. This is legit stealing money from FEMA. Now, you know who's going to be up next? And it's not because she says stupid stuff, but it's because there's some financial disclosures that are raising eyebrows. You know our little friend, Jasmine Crockett? In a filing to the Federal Election Commission, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett from Texas listed a series of expenditures that have people talking. $4,100 at the Ritz-Carlton, $2,300 at the Luxury Collection, $5,300 at the West Hollywood Edition in Los Angeles, $1,100 Times Square Edition, $2,000 to the Cosmo and Aria right here in Las Vegas. Good choice, Jasmine Crockett. 2 thumbs up on that. We'll let that one slide. $2,700 to the Edgartown Inn. $3,100 at the Coco. I don't think they mean Cocos, Robbie, right? I don't know, $3,000 at Coco. Can you imagine? I went to Coco's and I blew $3,000. No, the Coco is in Martha's Vineyard, okay? Martha's Vineyard, of course. It all adds up to about $75,000. Now, where did this money come from? That's being paid out apparently by her campaign. Some of this may get her well into hot water. Crockett has said she's weighing a possible run for the U.S. Senate. One of the reasons she may need to do this is because her district is getting eliminated as part of the Texas redistricting. And again, I don't see that federal challenge and appellate court decision holding. So I think that redistricting in Texas, just like the redistricting in California, is going to be likely permitted. Anyway, there it is. So you saw the latest with Crockett. Crockett, she's going off about Epstein. And you know, of course, the more we learn about Epstein, the more we learn that a bunch of Democrats were giving money to him, were getting advice from him, were texting him during congressional testimony, had relationship, whatever it was. It was a lot of Democrats implicated. And so Crockett, you know, what was this on Tuesday? In her defense of Stacey Plaskett, a fellow congressional Democrat who was the one texting Epstein during Michael Cohen's testimony, Jasmine Crockett let loose this masterpiece of a soundbite.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly: Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Now, I am politically, I have to separate this because via my wife, there is a personal relationship. Politically, I'm no fan of Mitt Romney. But I remember hearing this in the moment, and I had so much going on Tuesday. And I just remember thinking, there is literally no way Mitt Romney got money from Jeffrey Epstein. Like, I'm 1,000% no way in hell. So what's the issue here? Well, turns out, and this is unfortunate, actually, for all the Jeff Epsteins out there, the name is not that uncommon. Okay? Now, Robbie, what if your name happened to be, you know, Jeffrey Epstein? How quickly would you change it? No, Robbie's shaking his head. You would not do it. You wouldn't care. You would be like, no, I'm Jeffrey Epstein too. They're out there. And there's a handful of them in America. And one of them is a doctor who is pretty active with political contributions. And it seems somewhat active in political contributions to Republicans. So she gets caught doing this. I guess this Dr. Epstein guy made a contribution to Lee Zeldin. Loves Lee Zeldin. Lee is such a great guy, by the way. He's phenomenal. So he makes a contribution to Lee Zeldin. And Lee claps back, of course, going, yeah, it's a different Epstein, idiot. I'm paraphrasing his tweet. So Caitlin Collins, last night, CNN, asks Jasmine Crockett about this. And Crockett, this is her reaction. And but before I play the clip, I'm going to read the verbatim of what she said on the floor of the House of Representatives the day before. Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein. That's what she said. I mean, what do you think she's implying there? This is her explanation.
I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein, just so that people understand when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says, is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
I think Jasmine Crockett, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I don't know who we throw in the mix, Candace Owens, should just host like a new version of The View. What are you laughing at, Robbie? I would watch that all the time. That would be wild entertainment. Put those batty women up there. Absolutely, 100%. Guys, what? What is this? Oh, it even got worse from there. I got to take a break. More on this when we come back. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network, the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
All right, Sam Mirejovsky here, my eye on national events as we hold down the fort in Nevada as well. It's just like operating a three-ring circus with all the accoutrement. Sam Mirejovsky here. Yes, I already mentioned that. Okay, let me say a word about Sam and Ash Injury Law. This is a firm I started 6 years ago. I've been in personal injury for, 1999 is when I got into it. So 25 years, over 25 years. I know what I'm doing. I've got a great team, surrounded by some of the best people in the business. And what I have found is that when you get into an accident, the last thing you want to do is deal with the paperwork, deal with the emails, deal with the text messages, deal with having to make decisions, while at the same time not knowing what decisions to make. When people are left to their own devices, the reality is they make bad choices. They make the choices the insurance company wants you to make, right? But those are always good for the insurance company. They're never good for you. And you end up upside down in your case to the tune of thousands of dollars. That's right. At the end of your case, you could end up owing money. Don't do it. Friends do not let friends lose money after an accident. Simple number here, write it down. 1-800-304-2000. That gets you to our offices in Nevada and California. The local number, by the way, here in Las Vegas is 702-820-1234. 702-820-1234. Now, turn all of that over to us. We'll take care of the emails. We'll talk to the insurance company. We'll make sure everything is done right. And you can focus on work. You can focus on getting better. You can focus on your family, all the other things that you have to take care of. So, Sam and Ash Injury Law, the only law firm to trust for your injury case. I'll give you the number again. I'll give you the toll-free number. You even have to pay for the call. 800-304-2000. And remember this. In 15 minutes, we can get everything taken care of, send you documents electronically. Very easy. And Sam and Ash takes care of everything from that point forward. All right. 1-800-304-2000. Tell your friends, tell your family members. Don't go at it alone. Get help. samandashlaw.com. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Representative Sherphyllis McCormick. I'm going to practice this, Robbie, every segment. Sherphyllis McCormick. Oh, boy. Uh, what's that? It sounds like a rash. She's the Democratic congressman indicted today for her role in allegedly misappropriating FEMA funds to help pay for her congressional campaign. Democrat from Florida. Her buddy, Jasmine Crockett, over in Texas, in a defense, I guess, was a defense of Stacey Plaskett. Stacey Plaskett is the other Democrat gone wild this week. This is the Congresswoman who is from the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands. That is a non-voting position, by the way, in case you're keeping track. It's like Eleanor Holmes Norton out of D.C., non-voting. You do not vote, but you get to sit there and you get to talk. You get to ask questions. And Plaskett was asking questions during the Trump impeachment drama, and she was, this is in Trump's first term, right? And they had Michael Cohen there. They had Michael Cohen on the stand, and Plaskett is texting none other than Jeffrey Epstein, not Jeffrey Epstein, the doctor that gave money to Lee Zeldin, Mitt Romney, and a handful of other Republicans who Jasmine Crockett seems to, I can't say what the, seems to have thought was the Jeffrey Epstein. A case of mistaken identity. Folks, sorry. I just did not get a lot of sleep these last 2 days. Forgive me. Deep breath. Anyway, so Plaskett is texting with the pedophile Epstein. And we can call him that because Jeffrey Epstein, the pedophile, was convicted of sex with a minor. One count. 17-year-old. Minor in Florida. Convicted. Registered sex offender. There you go. Those are the facts. Now, Jasmine Crockett's talking to Caitlin Collins about this, and I guess Collins kind of is trying to push back here and going, well, listen, I know you're defending, your friend in Congress, but come on, she was like texting Epstein, right? And Epstein was, I think we all agree, Epstein was a bad guy. And I want you to pay careful attention to how this response in this clip by Crockett, how it all comes out.
The bigger question is, why is the president of the United States not the one that is in the hot seat for his relationship, instead of us saying, oh, you know what, we're going to take her off of her committee because he decided to text her. Stacey didn't initiate that chain. Jeffrey initiated that chain, and she took the information. Just like if somebody texts me.
Yeah, but she was responding and saying, what are you talking about? Quick, I'm up next. And then her questions were about Rona. But do you think that was inappropriate? I mean, would you text with someone who is a registered sex offender about what you should ask?
I honestly know that he had never been convicted of any federal crimes at that time.
But he had been in jail already.
He had been
got a
in
plea
jail.
deal.
And my deal is this. The Republicans are constantly texting with a 34-count convicted felon. So if it's okay for them to text him at any point in time, then I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong.
Here's where low IQ Democrats like Ms. Crockett and Plaskett and Sheriff McCormick come in handy. They're just not smart enough to understand what they're letting us in on. Epstein, the bad guy, is mutable in the mind of a Democrat. Epstein is bad if he is talking to Trump. Epstein is bad if Mitt Romney's giving him a contribution. Not the real Epstein, right? Or getting a contribution from, Mitt is getting a contribution from Epstein, right? Again, not that Epstein. Epstein is bad if it implicates Republicans. The minute that Caitlin Collins, a friendly on CNN goes, but come on, like Epstein was actually a convicted pedophile at the time. Maybe it's not appropriate for a sitting member of Congress to be live texting a convicted pedophile in that moment, getting advice from him on what to ask Michael Cohen. And you see what happens. All of a sudden, Crockett is downplaying the severity of Epstein's crimes and trying to say that, at the time, we didn't really know. I mean, like, come on. And by the way, Trump is a 34-time convicted felon. And Republicans text him all the time. So, like, this is so good. This there's such a teachable moment, right? Because the smart Democrats know how to kind of massage this and weave and avoid this, but the dumb ones just come out and lay the playbook out before us. And that's exactly what Jasmine Crockett is doing here. And you look at all those financial disclosures, you start to think, my goodness, Crockett's going to end up in the same boat as Sherfulus McCormick. And I don't know about this Virgin Islands gal, but I don't think she's going to end up in a good place either as the House moves to censure her. All right, folks, bottom of the hour here. Do you think that air travel needs to become more civil? I don't know, I fly out of the airport formerly known as McCarran almost every other week. I have witnessed some doozies at the airport and on airplanes. Some really bad behavior. Well, the Trump administration wants to do something about this. Fascinating story. Be right back to tell you all about it. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the What's Right show, powered by Sam and Ash Injury Law. I was just texting with my friend April Becker, who I got to point this out. April has been at the cutting edge of fighting this fuel tax here in Clark County on the Board of Supervisors. Yeah, I'm just absolutely crazy. Well, Board of Commissioners, excuse me. She's a county commissioner, District C, and we got this fuel tax. She's the lone no vote on the fuel tax. So they're raising the fuel. This is what they want to do. They want to raise the fuel taxes. And we got one person in the county commission, April Becker, holding the line. We need more good people. And together we can do it, folks. This next year, we have to resolve, roll up our sleeves and do something. Because we are at risk here in Nevada of becoming just like California, minus the beach and minus the good weather. Yeah, well, okay. I mean, people do not move here for the 116-degree summers. Okay, that's not why people come here. All right, welcome to the What's Right show, powered by Sam and Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam and Ash 702-820-1234. That's the number in Nevada. California office 800-304-2000. Actually, you can call from anywhere to that number and get connected. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. Robbie and I are here laughing, just digging up old podcasts. Now, we're not going to go too deep on Epstein. It's just funny. You hear the Democrats defending Epstein not that long ago. It's all there. Now, the big brouhaha today, is Trump's tweets about the senators and congressmen who were featured in the video that we played yesterday. This is a video where these members of Congress and the Senate were urging members of the intelligence community to disobey orders. And Trump posted some stuff like, basically hang the traitors. And you would have thought that what Trump did was akin to ordering, wishing, if not ordering, violence on people for mere political disagreement. The context of this is, folks, and maybe a lot of people don't know the law, but treason is punishable, up and including capital punishment. This is kind of like when people say hang the murderer, They're not suggesting a mob of people go and find these congressmen and whatnot. Well, it's literally saying there's a legal process. They're going to go to court. We're going to convict them, and then we're going to go all the way. As it's classic Trump. It's just intended to waste people's energy on something that isn't real. So just everybody relax and take it easy. It's not the end of the world, but I'm just loving the reactions here. Absolutely crazy. Now, speaking of absolutely crazy, this was earlier in the week. This was News Nation. Did an interview with Chris Matthews. Remember Chris Matthews, Mr. Tingle up my leg over Obama? Chris Matthews used to actually be, in my opinion, more of a left of left Democrat. And Chris Matthews now is a man who feels abandoned by his party. And he gave this interview and he's discussing, Zahar Mamdani, he's discussing Bernie Sanders and AOC and the radical left inside the Democratic Party. These radical leftists are spreading all over. They're at the national level, they're at state levels. You see Michigan, Dearborn, areas like that completely get taken by these people, but they're also coming to states like Nevada. So does it work? And there's a growing number of common sense Democrats that don't seem to think so.
What do you think now? Can the Democratic Party that now has to cater to MS now, that is the audition to be in the Democratic Party and a national figure in the Democratic Party, if you have the people at MS now who are there...
Clearly, that's a problem. Clearly, if you play to them, you're going to lose the general election, probably, unless you have a very blue district or state. This is a problem. And I look at them lining up, and when they make these statements, I go, that's for MSNBC. That's not for the electorate. And that's a problem. But I'm a moderate, so I disagree with those people. I'm not a Bernie Sanders guy. That's not. But Bernie Sanders would say, same thing. Go with the left in the primary and go to the left in the general. But I'd ask you, when does the left ever win a general? It's very rare, except in New York City. All right.
Except for New York City. I still maintain this is a blind spot we should work to avoid developing. And the blind spot is that a lot of Republicans now are just sort of saying, it's just New York. There's a reason why we've been talking about Mamdani, why I think he's important. I think it's an existential threat to the country. I think there's a rise of Democrats willing to call themselves socialists. And if they're willing to call themselves socialists, they're probably communists. And we're in the midst of a communist revolution. Now, I don't believe it will be successful, but it will require a tremendous amount of effort to prevent that. And this is one of the reasons why we have to fight for Nevada, and why Californians should fight for California, and why Utahns should fight for Utah, because we still have a federal system. We still have states' rights. We still can protect ourselves in our states against what could be a hostile federal government. Imagine a federal government taken over and controlled by Gavin Newsom, for example, or worse, someone like AOC. It's not inconceivable, as far away as it might seem. Yeah, not absolutely that far-fetched. Whew, you imagine President AOC. Yeah, I know. Well, everything, this is why it's so dangerous. Everything that the left has pushed in my lifetime actually has been a lie. I mentioned earlier, global warming and the big climate hoax. And I'm not saying, look, world temperatures, global temperatures change. They go up, they go down. The sun produces more radiation, more solar flares, more whatever. Temperatures go up. Then it goes through cooling periods. I understand. This is a universe in flux. But if you actually believe that your can of hairspray is burning a hole in the ozone layer, and that's basically what's causing you to temperatures to go up, or that you should eat less beef because the cows are out there passing gas and thereby increasing temperatures around the world. And if only you ate fewer steaks, the world, the environment would be better off. If you think it's bovine flatulence, I think, you got to get your head examined. And this is also true, and this is another one of those myths that we were always told when we were little. At least, my generation. Multiculturalism, we are a melting pot. And you know what? For a period of time in my life, I bought it. And you know why I bought it? Because my parents came from a different country. And, a lot of kids I went to school, their parents came from different countries. And, my parents came here and, learned the language and integrated and, culturally, linguistically, becoming part of America. And so did a lot of my friends' parents. And what we're seeing now is there's been a wave of immigration. And I started kind of realizing it in maybe my teens and my early 20s growing up in Southern California. And all of a sudden, Cinco de Mayo comes around and everybody's got their Mexican flags. And you go into parts of Santa Ana. Robbie, I realize, touchy subject, one of your old stomping grounds once upon a time. You go into Santa Ana, nobody speaks English, and you're going, what the hell is this? These people aren't integrating. And now the progressive politicians are talking about this quite openly, that we actually, integration in the melting pot isn't what we're going for. Speaking of Dearborn, Michigan, there's a mayor there who, his name is Abdullah Hammoud. You can imagine what his policies and politics look like. He talks about how the U.S. really should be referred to not as a melting pot. He's got a different word for it. Listen to this.
Because what you often hear that's accompanied with that is, well, you must assimilate. I shouldn't put out a magazine that's in 2 languages. Why can't you speak English? Why are my videos subtitled in Arabic? Why is my caption both in English and Arabic? People get frustrated by this. But to me, it's like, I actually disavow the use of the term the melting pot. I actually don't like it. Why? Because in a melting pot, when you're talking about like a soup, everything looks the same. Right. We're the salad bowl. The lettuce is lettuce, the tomato is tomato, the cucumber is cucumber. And they all complement each other.
Oh. Okay, so we can now be separate but equal? Is that what we're talking about? The entire crux of the argument for diversity, for multiculturalism, given to us throughout the 80s and 90s and 2000s is out the window. It's gone. I got a new theory. Just like a global warming is out and climate change is in, melting pot is a thing of the past. Now we're salad bowl, where I guess we can be tomatoes and onions and whatnot, and we just sort of mix, but don't become one potash of indiscernible ingredients. You know what the next step is? Well, I'll tell you when we come back. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here. A lot of new listeners, and I've been hearing from you. So happy to have you. All right. Quick break. Be right back. A lot of interesting feedback here on X, formerly known as Twitter, to my @What'sRightSam account. I had someone respond to me that half of Nevada wants to be like California. Unfortunately, that's what we're up against. And my response is yes, but we are the half that doesn't want that. We are the half that wants Nevada to be free and independent of California and from other shenanigans that might happen across the country. And the answer is, the fix is that we need to politically unite and we need to build broad alliances. Broad alliances. We can't sit here and go, well, Lombardo did that one thing really bad, so screw him. It's not so easy. We've got to get more Republicans, conservative Republicans, in the legislature. That will make any future Republican governor job much easier. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. So, learning now, the left is now telling us that the great American melting pot, the dream of the 80s, 90s, 2000s, the early aughts, I think is what they call them, the melting pot, the call for diversity, that's passe. We're not going to do that anymore. We're now a salad bowl. All the ingredients are in the bowl, but, well, they're all staying in their individual forms. It's okay to not speak English. It's okay to not adopt American culture. It's okay to turn, a portion of, of Minnesota into a little Somali warlord fiefdom. Now, I'm going to give you another thing that's, I'd say, next up on the chopping block. They're going to start doing away with tolerance. Now, what do I mean by this? Tolerance. We got to tolerate it. What is today? National Trans Day of Visibility. Yes, I'm celebrating that big time over here, Robbie. Thank you for asking. Tolerance. No, it's not going to be about tolerance. It's not. You can already see the outlines of it happening. Can't tolerate Charlie Kirk. He had despicable racist ideas. Charlie Kirk can't be tolerated. He has to be killed. Rich people, exploiters. Listen to the kind of language Zohar Mamdani uses. We have there will be dehumanizing language for us in the opposition that is intended to relegate us to second-class citizen status when these people take over, pack the Supreme Court, change the meaning of the Constitution to favor them, and we begin living in a dystopian nightmare. You know something about Czech culture, my parents' culture, that, by the way, they don't practice because they're more American than Czech. Collecting mushrooms, it's like a national Czech thing. You go out there, you have a little basket. Anytime it rains, it's like, oh, let's go in the forest and collect mushrooms. By the way, it's the most boring crap on the planet, but whatever. People in the Czech Republic do it. I go out there with a little basket, and once in a while, sister and I would go out there in the woods, and because we're from California, growing up in California, no idea what a mushroom. Well, collecting mushrooms, go to the park and do it, and we'd go, well, is this mushroom here? You pick one. Is this one okay to eat? And had somebody tell us, well, they're all okay to eat once. Because, of course, there are mushrooms in the Czech forest that will literally kill you. But you can eat it once. So it's kind of like electing your communist, right? You can elect the communist once. But there's no going back from it. And one thing I can tell you is that as bad as we think things are right now, we are living in a great time. The economy is going to go through a rough patch. We're going to come back from it. We're going to come back from it bigger and better. We're paying now the price of all the free money under Biden. We're paying the price for a Federal Reserve that's been intent on messing with Trump and creating political problems for Trump. We're dealing with all of that. But my greater point is we've got a president that's keeping our country safe. We've got a border that's closed. We've got common sense in the White House. By and large, common sense in Congress. You have no idea how much worse it can get from here. And this is something we Republicans need to keep our minds on. Every stupid podcaster that profits from division within our party and within our movement is a grifter. It is easy to get clicks, to get views, to get all the metrics that matter in the line of work that I do here behind the What's Right microphone. You can be controversial, all that stuff. But look at what we did in the last 2 days here in Nevada with the Hollywood film tax bill. You and I actually made a difference. Because I'm not a podcaster first. I'm an American and a Nevadan first. I care about my country like you care about your country. I care about my state like you care about your state. And I'm going to fight for it. It doesn't always get the most clicks. It doesn't always get the most views. It doesn't get me national attention the way, maybe some of these other dingbats are getting, but they are not moving the political needle. Actually, they're sabotaging Trump. They're sabotaging Republicans. And I mean, I'm including here Massey, of course, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and even some elected Republicans. This is completely counterproductive. This is awful. We have 50 weeks. And Robbie, we're going to start a countdown, not a day countdown. Put the day in there too. We're going to start a countdown of how many weeks we have and how many days we have before the midterms, before 2026. We have a Republican governor to reelect here in Nevada. We have a Republican House and a Republican Senate to reelect in Washington. We have a president who, despite his faults, is obviously doing a tremendous job. Can you imagine, ... if Joe Biden was still president? We have to support him and protect him because our country depends on it. And to every Republican lawmaker out there, I lament these Republican governors in states where they even have Republican legislatures and they're not doing enough to protect their cities that have been taken over by crazy, commie pinkos. Do something, act on it. Protect your cities, protect your people. So this is what we are going to do. This is what the What's Right show is about. We have a country to save. We have a state to save. We have our communities to save. We have our way of life to save. And together, we will do it. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. I'll see you tomorrow, folks.